All right, so it's still World Trump Day, and I know Lars is feeling the heat over there in Germany. It's a big day in Washington, but it spreads to all over the world as we all await the inauguration of President Donald Trump for his second term as President of the United States of Africa. Let's find out what's happening over there in Germany, how the Germans and how Berlin is taking this and what they're exactly looking at this time. Hi, Lars. Good afternoon. How's the fever there as we all celebrate World Trump Day?
Yeah, hi, Ini. Thanks for having me. Well, it's quite clear, I got to be right honest with you here, that most people in Germany would have wished for a very different scenario to unfold. A large majority of people here had been hoping for Kamala Harris to win the election, and that includes people both on the political as well as the business side. However, as soon as the election was decided with Donald Trump winning his second term in office, German decision makers tried to get at least a bit closer to Trump, closer maybe than they felt comfortable with, but that's politics. Now, keeping a close connection to the White House is obviously important for Germany and for the EU as well, because the transatlantic partnership of past decades is generally seen as beneficial in so many ways, and it is under threat under a Trump administration. Now, the question is, how do you get on Trump's good side? German Chancellor Olaf Scholz spoke to him twice after the election and even was commending him on asking smart questions, but it doesn't look like that impressed anyone on the other side of the Atlantic. Trump's buddy and advisor Elon Musk just recently called the chancellor here Olaf Schitz and endorsed the extreme right-wing AfD party that is opposing Scholz in the upcoming German elections. So honestly, nobody here is in a celebratory mood when it comes to Trump's inauguration, but they're trying to make the best of it.
Yeah, well, for Berlin to be trying to get on Trump's good side, it means there's some things on the line. What's on the line for Germany as it takes office?
Well, Ini, besides the geopolitical stability, it's mostly trade issues that are worrying Germany. As of last year, Germany has exported goods worth more than 150 billion euros to the US, and that is about 10% of our total exports. Among the biggest German exporters to the US, by the way, is the pharmaceutical industry, with around a quarter of these total exports. And there's, of course, machinery, cars, trucks, and also to a much lesser degree, also exporting chemicals and materials to the United States. Now, Germany's trade surplus with the US has grown to over 60 billion euros, as our imports from there are quite a bit lower. And that is pretty much exactly what Trump doesn't like. And he has announced a while ago that he will hit the EU and Germany too with massive tariffs. And that could be anywhere between 10 and 20% if we trust his campaign promises. Could be more too. We really just don't have a clear indication. Trump has made it clear what he wants to see: German companies as well as companies from other countries moving to the US and producing there instead of just sending their goods over. And that, of course, could be dangerous for Germany. We would lose jobs here. Our economy would end up being weaker. And in a zero-sum game, the US is the winner. We would be the losers. And unfortunately, we know from Trump's first term and from everything he has said ever since that he is indeed viewing global politics and trade not in terms of strategic partnerships, but he actually does see this all as a zero-sum game.
Yeah, Berlin certainly has a whole lot to consider and to do to balance all of this out. And I wonder if that fear and uncertainty has also crept into the minds of investors this afternoon.
Well, investors have obviously been looking at the whole Trump situation for a while. If you're looking at markets right now, it's interesting. There's really nothing moving. We are just flat in the DAX. It almost looks a little bit like investors are just having the TV on, waiting for more analysis. And of course, then later in the day on maybe watching the inauguration. But, when I say the DAX is trading flat today, It is doing that at a very high level. The German blue chips are on their way to breaking through 21,000 points, and that is literally days after they broke 20,000 for the first time ever. German markets up 4% for last week, but nobody seems to know what to make of this rally, really. Some analysts are saying that they expected the market to reach 21,000 by the end of the year. And now, will the index have that much more strength to continue this current trend, especially with Trump taking over and all these issues on the table that I just mentioned? We simply don't know. What I'm hearing mostly from the business and market community is that they still see Trump as a factor of major uncertainty. Of course, some of his policies could be very beneficial too for businesses, but there could also be backlash. Two stocks to look at today that have not much to do with Trump. So let's look a little bit further into markets. Defense contractor Rheinmetall is up after receiving yet another huge contract. That looks pretty solid there. And then Commerzbank, one of the biggest German banks, is also up today after announcing some more cost cuts.
Yeah, well, I do hope after Trump's inauguration speech today, some of those uncertainty would have left the market and we'll have a bit of certainty. Thank you so much, Lars.
Thank you, Ini.